Hello everyone, and welcome back to Carnivorous Plants Hub. Today we're tackling a big ping project, repotting, separating crowded clumps, and taking leaf pullings for propagation. I've got a whole tray of Pinguicula Sethos that's ready for an upgrade, so come hang out while we get these plants organized and set up for even better growth. The trays they're in now have worked well, but they're a little shallow and dry out faster than I'd like. So today, I'm moving everything into deeper trays with more substrate, which should help hold moisture longer and make watering much easier. Most of the plants you're seeing here are Pinguicula Sethos, a popular Mexican butterwort known for being easy to grow and quick to multiply. This collection is a mix of leaf pullings and naturally divided plants, so there's a lot to work with today. Stick around until the end of the video so I can show you how everything looks once it's settled into its new homes. I'll also walk you through exactly how I separate plants, repot them, take leaf pullings for future propagation, and providing care tips to help you maximize your ping growth. And one more quick note, I'll be listing a bunch of these pings for sale. By the time this video goes live, they should be back in stock on my website. I'll share more details later, but if you're interested, check the description and pinned comment for the link. Pings are incredible little plants, and they're surprisingly effective at catching small flying pests like gnats and fruit flies. If you look closely, the leaves are covered in a sticky mucilage that acts like natural flypaper. Once an insect lands, escaping is almost impossible. The bug gets trapped, the leaf digests it over time, and the plant absorbs those nutrients. I've actually seen how effective they can be firsthand. At one point, I had a gnat outbreak in one of my grow tents, and my pings nearly wiped out the entire population on their own. If you deal with fungus gnats or fruit flies, these plants can be a huge help. You can even see how fast they work. After just a short time outside, one of mine managed to catch a housefly. That's less common since larger flies are usually strong enough to escape, but this one definitely underestimated the ping. In my opinion, pings are some of the easiest carnivorous plants to grow, especially Pinguicula Sethos. They're very forgiving when it comes to watering. They can tolerate drying out for a few days between waterings, and they're also fairly difficult to overwater compared to many other carnivorous plants. Lighting can also dramatically change how they look. All of the plants you're seeing here are grown under lights, which gives them that beautiful pink coloration. In lower light, like a windowsill, they'll usually stay greener. The good news is that pings are much more forgiving with light than many other carnivorous species. So even under weaker grow lights, they can still do well. You just may not get as much color. I keep most of my pings under Barina grow lights. Each strip is about 2 feet long, full spectrum, and 24 watts. I run 2 strips per rack for around 48 watts total. My pings absolutely love them and thrive under that setup. I keep the plants anywhere from about 6 to 15 inches below the lights, and you can really see the difference. The closer plants develop deeper pink tones, while the ones farther back still color up nicely, but with a softer look. If you'd like to check out the lights I use, I've linked them down in the description. If you only have 1 or 2 pings, Sandsea also makes some excellent grow bulbs and clip-on lights that work really well for smaller setups. I've linked those too in the description and pinned comment if you'd like to take a look. Mexican Butterworts don't need a true dormancy period since they're tropical and can grow year-round. However, when light levels and temperatures drop, they can shift into what's called a succulent stage. During this time, they need even less water. The leaves become smaller and tighter, and the plant may stop producing its sticky mucilage altogether. They'll usually stay in that stage until temperatures and light levels increase again. Where I live, any pings I keep on a windowsill tend to go through this succulent stage during the winter. This clump actually started as one ping and divided on its own over the last year or so. You can also see how much light affects their color. The plants exposed to stronger light have that nice pink tone, while this one on the side, getting less direct light, is much greener. Now let's dive into repotting. The first thing I'm going to do is prepare the tray with my ping substrate. I call it a substrate more than a soil because it's a very chunky, heavy mix. My blend includes peat moss, pumice, perlite, sand, and crushed glass. The crushed glass isn't sharp, it's basically decorative sand, but it adds a really nice sparkle under sunlight and grow lights. I've spent a lot of time dialing in this mix so it has a good balance of moisture retention and drainage. Pings don't want to sit in soggy soil all the time, so they usually do best in a chunkier, sandier mix that can dry out a bit between waterings. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm selling a good portion of the pings you're seeing in this video. I also have repotting kits available that include substrate and a planter for your ping. You can check availability at carnivorousplanthub.com. These usually don't stay in stock very long, so grab one while they're available. Now that the tray is prepared, let's start removing the pings from their old trays. I purposely let these dry out a bit first because I find it makes the old substrate easier to remove. When it's dry, it tends to chip away instead of clumping and sticking to the roots. Take your time here and be gentle. It's almost inevitable that you'll lose a few roots, but the goal is to keep root damage as minimal as possible. You also don't need to remove every last bit of old substrate, especially if you trust the mix they were growing in. In this case, I'd rather leave some substrate behind than risk tearing off healthy roots. Now, if your ping is coming from an unknown mix, or if the old substrate had pests, mold, or mildew, you may want to spend a little extra time cleaning it off before repotting. Once you've got the plants removed, all you need to do is make a small divot in the new substrate and gently nestle the ping into place. Repotting pings is very different from repotting deep-rooted houseplants. Their roots are shallow and delicate, so they often sit mostly on top of the substrate rather than deep inside it. The main goal is simply making sure the roots are in contact with the substrate so they can absorb moisture. You can press the plant down very gently if needed, but be careful. Avoid pressing on the center growth point and instead lightly support the outer leaves. Ping leaves are soft and fragile, so they don't handle much pressure. Now it's time to separate this crowded clump of pings. This one also has some utricularia growing across the top, which is pretty cool. I think I'll save that and pot it up separately. The most important part of separating pings is patience. Go slowly and be gentle. If you rush, it's very easy to tear roots or damage the plants. I'll also be taking some leaf pullings along the way, like this one that already came off on its own. You can also see those long, dense utricularia roots. They're attractive and fun to grow, but that's one reason it's a good idea to separate them from your main ping pot once they start spreading too much. Once the clump is out of the planter, start gently teasing the plants apart. Some divisions will separate easily, while others can be a little stubborn. This one looks like it's going to take some patience. You'll notice old dead leaves underneath and those tiny white roots throughout the clump. This is actually the perfect time for cleanup. Remove old dead foliage, clear away excess substrate, and tidy up the base of the plant. Cleaning out that old growth helps encourage stronger growth and future divisions. Now that everything is separated, I'm going to take a few leaf pullings to start some new plants. To do that, get a firm grip near the base of the leaf and gently pull it away from the center. New plantlets usually form near that attachment point. Every time I repot, I try to take a few pullings from the plants I'm keeping so the collection keeps expanding. This one here is looking a little weak, so I've decided to sacrifice it for the future of the colony. I'm taking all the leaves for propagation. I always feel a little guilty doing that, but sometimes you've got to think long term. I've set the leaf pullings on a wet paper towel for now. This keeps them on a moist surface while I finish up and get their propagation tray ready. I'll show you exactly what I do with these in just a bit, so stay tuned for that process. I wanted to show this plant because of how much old undergrowth had built up underneath it. You can see there was a dense clump of dead material packed under the crown. That buildup can slow growth and even make it harder for the plant to divide over time. One thing I really love about pings is their shallow root system. It makes them incredibly flexible when it comes to containers. You can grow them in very shallow planters, decorative dishes, and all kinds of creative setups. Just keep in mind, the less substrate you use, the faster it dries out, and the more often you'll need to water. I even tried growing one in a shot glass once with no bottom watering. It looked cool, but it dried out so fast that I eventually gave up. I just didn't want to water it every other day. And while I'm cleaning these up, I'm grabbing even more pullings. Alright, now it's time to get these pullings into their more permanent home. In the past, I've rooted pullings directly on wet paper towels, and that can absolutely work if you don't have substrate available. But over time I found a few downsides. Paper towels dry out quickly, even when covered, and the new roots can attach to the towel, making them tricky to remove later. Planting them directly into substrate solves both of those issues. They can root in place and you don't have to disturb them again in a few months when they start growing. The biggest key to successful propagation is humidity and moisture. Wherever you place your pullings, make sure they can stay covered. High humidity during the first few months is extremely important. The longer the leaf stays alive and hydrated, the better your chances of producing new plantlets. Here are some older pullings I've propagated in the past so you can see what to expect. In my opinion, pings are by far one of the easiest carnivorous plants to propagate. In fact, every ping you've seen in today's video came from just 2 mother plants I bought 4 years ago. And honestly, I could have multiplied them even faster. if I'd focused on propagation more aggressively. With just 1 or 2 healthy mother plants, you can eventually build an entire colony. And here we are, everything is in its new home. All the pings have been repotted, and the pullings are in their own tray. I've got a clear lid for that tray, so they'll stay covered most of the time while they propagate. The larger plants will stay uncovered under the Barina grow lights. Now I've got trays of mother plants, trays of pings ready for sale, and trays of younger plants growing fast. I even saved the Utricularia. If you'd like to see what ping propagations look like right before I repot them, check out the video popping up on screen right now. And if you found this video helpful or entertaining, make sure to pour some water on that like button and subscribe to help keep the channel growing. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I hope to catch you in the next video.